In the winter of 1765, the people of Châlons, a region in northeastern France, were gripped by fear as a series of deadly wolf attacks ravaged the countryside. These wolves, more ferocious and cunning than ordinary predators, were responsible for numerous deaths and injuries, leaving the community in a state of panic. The wolves of Châlons became one of the most infamous cases of man-eating wolves in European history, reflecting the deep-seated fears and challenges faced by rural communities in the 18th century. This narrative explores the events surrounding the wolves of Châlons, the efforts to hunt them down, and the impact of their attacks on French society.
During the 18th century, much of rural France was covered in dense forests that were home to a variety of wildlife, including wolves. While wolves were a common presence in the French countryside, they rarely posed a significant threat to humans, focusing instead on livestock. However, during harsh winters, food shortages could drive these predators closer to human settlements in search of sustenance. The region of Châlons, located in the Champagne-Ardenne area, was particularly vulnerable to such attacks due to its vast, wild landscape and the isolated nature of its villages. The people of Châlons, like many rural communities of the time, lived close to nature and were accustomed to the risks posed by wild animals. But the winter of 1765 brought something far more terrifying than the usual encounters with wolves.
In December 1764, reports began to circulate of a large wolf, or possibly a pack of wolves, attacking people in the countryside around Châlons. The attacks were brutal and often fatal, with victims, including children, being dragged from their homes or attacked while tending livestock. The sheer ferocity and frequency of the attacks quickly spread fear throughout the region. Unlike typical wolf behavior, which involved preying on animals, these wolves seemed to be specifically targeting humans. Eyewitnesses described the wolves as unusually large and bold, showing little fear of people. The attacks continued into early 1765, and the death toll mounted, with dozens of people falling victim to the wolves' attacks. The local authorities, desperate to protect the population, organized hunts to track down and kill the wolves responsible. These hunts involved experienced wolf hunters, soldiers, and local villagers, all determined to rid the region of the menace. However, the wolves proved elusive, often evading capture and continuing their deadly rampage.
The hunt for the wolves of Châlons became a matter of urgency as the attacks continued. The wolves were cunning, using the cover of night and the dense forests to their advantage. Despite the efforts of the hunters, the wolves remained at large, and the death toll continued to rise. The people of Châlons lived in constant fear, afraid to leave their homes, even in daylight. The situation attracted the attention of the French government, which sent additional troops and resources to assist in the hunt. The King of France, Louis XV, was reportedly informed of the situation and ordered that no expense be spared in capturing the wolves. This led to the mobilization of large-scale hunting parties, equipped with muskets, swords, and hunting dogs, all combing the forests in search of the killers. In the spring of 1765, after months of relentless hunting, several large wolves were finally killed in the forests surrounding Châlons. The bodies of these wolves were brought back to the villages, where they were displayed as proof that the menace had been dealt with. The killings brought a sense of relief to the terrified population, though there were still occasional reports of wolf attacks in the following years, suggesting that not all of the wolves had been eradicated.
The successful hunts eventually brought an end to the terror of the wolves of Châlons, but the memory of those harrowing months lingered in the minds of the people. The attacks had a profound impact on the region, reinforcing the deep-seated fear of wolves that was prevalent in much of Europe at the time. the wolves of Châlons became part of local folklore, remembered in stories and songs as a time when the natural world turned against humanity. The events also contributed to the broader cultural and historical fear of wolves in Europe. These animals, already associated with danger and wilderness, were increasingly viewed as symbols of chaos and evil, especially when they appeared to defy the natural order by attacking humans. This fear was reflected in literature, art, and even in the legal measures taken to control wolf populations across the continent. The legend of the wolves of Châlons served as a cautionary tale about the dangers of the wild and the thin line between civilization and the untamed forces of nature. While the actual events were likely the result of a combination of factors, including environmental pressures and human encroachment on wolf habitats, the story took on a life of its own, becoming part of the collective memory of the region.
The wolves of Châlons were more than just a pack of predators. They were a symbol of the fears and challenges faced by rural communities in 18th century France. Their attacks brought to light the vulnerability of human settlements in the face of nature's unpredictability and the enduring power of fear. As we reflect on the story of the wolves of Châlons, we are reminded of the complex relationship between humans and the natural world, and the ways in which history, folklore, and reality often intertwine.